Newcastle were absolutely incredible tonight. 8 changes, 6 injuries, go to Old Trafford with a team full of, Steve Bruce players and absolutely destroy Manchester United. Absolutely outplay us in every single aspect of the pitch. Livramento, probably my man of the match. Quality player. I was really good in the Man City game as well. Lewis Hall looked brilliant. Joelinton back, he looked brilliant. A Willock back is a big boost for them. But you know what? I apologise that this video's probably taken a while to come out because I'm a Man United fan, as you know, and it's taken me about 2 hours to sit here and really digest the game because I've done a big fat rant on my main channel, my Man United channel, about it. But obviously this channel is for general Premier League where I try and create unbiased content and stuff. So I know a lot of you are Newcastle fans and I've got to look at this from an unbiased way to talk about Newcastle without wanting to cry about the state of United. So that's why this video took a bit longer to come out, but we will talk about Newcastle. We are going to talk about how incredible they looked, how jealous I am, and I'm still depressed because as good as Newcastle were, I'm going to be honest, as a Man United fan, we are rubbish. I mean, you were fantastic. You dominated us from start to finish. You outclassed us in every aspect of the pitch. Joelinton was really, really good. But we're rubbish. We're absolutely rubbish. But you know what? You have to give this to Eddie Howe. Because you can't sit here and say, look, Emil Kraft, Paul Dummett, come on. Man United are complaining we don't have a Varane and Martinez. Emil Kraft and Paul Dummett. No excuses there. Matt Ritchie, obviously Almiron came on for Matt Target. Anthony Gordon's being played out of position and absolutely destroyed. And Diego Dalot, and I like Diego Dalot as a Man United fan, but that is the worst game I've seen him have in a Manchester United shirt. He got destroyed by that sort of triangle with Joelinton, Willock, Lewis Hall, and Lewis Hall was phenomenal today. And I just wanted to get this up here because Ritchie, Longstaff, Target, Emil Kraft, Paul Dummett, Dubravka, going to Old Trafford, beating them 3-0. And to be honest, Newcastle weren't even trying. Like, this was the worst part as a Man United fan. I mean, Newcastle were trying. The players give 110%, you know what I mean? But the worst part as a Man United fan is I thought, they could have, if they brought their first team, they could have beaten us 7-8-0. We could have been Sheffield United. We could have lost 8-0 today. And, we're going to dive into Newcastle and the job that Eddie Howe was doing. But look, 5 fullbacks, no striker, and they destroyed Manchester United. And what makes me so jealous of Newcastle is, one, that they just absolutely dominated us. They are such a good team to watch. And if I wasn't a Manchester United fan and Newcastle were just pumping someone like Arsenal, I'd really be enjoying watching that game because they are an incredible team to watch. If you're a Newcastle fan, you've got a fantastic team to watch. But what makes me so jealous is every single one of your players plays for the badge. Every single one of your players gives 110%. When I watched Manchester United, did you see our players walking around? Not good enough. It kills me that you've got players with such passion, it doesn't matter who they are, they're giving 110%, following your manager's instructions. We will talk about Eddie Howe and the fantastic job he's doing. You can't say that for United. Absolutely incredible Newcastle. And you have to say, they've got a really good energy about them. I know they've had a few poor results here and there, and that's going to be normal in their rebuild. They're only in their realistically second full season under Eddie Howe. We shouldn't be expecting crazy amounts. I think that, they're a fantastic side. But you watch Newcastle, and they're so convincing. Even when Newcastle have dropped a few points against Wolves, when you watch Newcastle, and I've watched 90% of Newcastle's games, and I'm saying this as a United fan, they're such a convincing team to watch because they're a good team. Even if they drew to sides like Wolves, even if they dropped points earlier in the season to Brighton, City, Liverpool, lost to Dortmund. When I watch Newcastle and when I watch them win, their win is so convincing. The way they play is so convincing. The way they play is so good to watch. They've got an energy about them that I know this is a good team that's going to have a good season. I'm not a Newcastle fan, obviously, but if I was a Newcastle fan, I wouldn't be worried at all. Because they can go to Old Trafford, they can pump us. They can go to Man City, they can pump Man City with their B team. And that is on Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe, what he's getting out of these players. Eddie Howe, what he's doing with the Newcastle United B team. It's I don't know why it's not spoken about more. Maybe because it's Newcastle, they don't get as much media attention in terms of praise because people just don't talk about Newcastle because it doesn't get enough views, because it doesn't get as many views as Arsenal or United. But what I don't understand, like, why are not more people talking about Eddie Howe? The fact that he's taken a side with 50% of Steve Bruce, Mike Ashley players, go into Old Trafford with about 5 fullbacks, no striker, and coaching a 3-0 win that's absolute domination. Yes, Manchester United are absolutely disastrous, but that is incredible. And, it kills me when I watch Newcastle because they have this good energy, they have this good passion, they have this good fight, but they all know their roles. They kind of rebuilt that triangle on the left-hand side of the pitch, which you see Man City do with Guardiola, Bernardo Silva and Grealish. They kind of did that with sort of Lewis Hall, Joelinton, and of course Almiron. And, absolutely, Delot had his worst game in United. They were brilliant. And it makes me so jealous because when you watch Newcastle, every single player knows their roles. It doesn't matter that half the players playing today were like 19th and were in a relegation side. They are so well coached. They are so well drilled that every single player in that Newcastle lineup knows their role. They have this brilliant structure, and you have to give Ashworth and Eagles credit for that. And that's, again, why I'm so jealous, because Man United have bankers choosing who we buy, and you wonder why we spend 85 billion on Anthony. Just need to digest that. 85 billion on Anthony. Back to Newcastle. But they've got, this brilliant team with this brilliant energy of all these players fighting, all these players knowing their roles. Eddie Howe's doing a phenomenal job making these players better. These players know exactly what Eddie Howe wants, and they give Eddie Howe exactly what they want. They attack. They dominate United. And Ashworth and Eels, what a fantastic job they've done in supporting Howe. And when you look at Eddie Howe and you look at his system, he's got such a good system and style and structure in place that doesn't matter who comes into the Newcastle team, he elevates them. And that is why, Eddie Howe's a good coach, because when his first team is all playing this brilliant football, and then when he rotates 8 players were rotated today, and he can still play brilliant football, the same style of football with these good players, you have to give Eddie Howe a round of applause. Because I'm still 10-0 in, because I think the Man United players are an absolute disgrace not trying. I'm still 10-0 in. But, people make excuses for Ten Hag, like he has to play this football, this crap, direct, counter-attacking football because he hasn't got the players in. Eddie Howe has coached his style to, Steve Bruce players. Steve Bruce ball was like the worst football out there. So we can make excuses for Eric Ten Hag not being able to play the way he did at Ajax because the Man United players can't. But how can Eddie Howe and Ange Postecoglou teach their players to play the way they want to, but Ten Hag can't teach the Man United players to play the way he wants to? Eddie Howe was... doesn't matter who plays, doesn't matter who rotates in and out of the squad. Every single player in that Newcastle squad knows what they want to do, knows their role. Emil Kraft, had his first proper game in about 15 months. Has had all these injuries. His career was done. When he goes to Man United and doesn't have a sniff in attack. We don't have a sniff in attack against Newcastle. And I'll be honest, if I wasn't a Man United fan, I would say Newcastle were a pleasure to watch. I've had to have 2 hours to make this video to calm down as a United fan because I'm fuming with my team. But Newcastle are outstanding to watch. They're a pleasure to watch. They are absolutely fantastic, and I am raging with jealousy completely because Newcastle and Manchester United are 2 clubs in very different directions. Newcastle have got good owners in, Dan Ashworth in, a good energy, and have completely rebuilt that club. Manchester United are going downhill. Owners are staying, employing bankers, toxicity. There'll be media leaks. There'll be media briefs coming out against Ten Hag. Whereas Newcastle, they've got injuries. They've had to play Steve Bruce players. They've had all the problems Man United have had with many games, and they're not making excuses. They're still doing well. They're still having convincing wins, most goals, highest XG. Beat us 3-0, and they didn't get out of second gear. They could have beaten us 4-5-6-0. Livramento and Lewis Hall were just galloping up the pitch like the best full-backs in the world. And I have to say, Livramento was absolutely incredible today. Absolutely incredible. I mean, if Trippier wasn't the most informed right back in the world right now, Livramento would be starting week in, week out. I mean, he deserves to start, but Trippier's been so good, and that's a good headache for Eddie Howe. But Joelinton dominated today. The Man United midfield did not get a sniff. We could talk about the fullbacks, Lewis Hall, Livramento. That is the future. Newcastle got a fantastic future in terms of fullbacks and all of that. Look at Joelinton today. The assist, the way he won the ball back for that Willock goal, I have to say, fair play. I mean, I don't know why the Man United players gave Willock so much space, and it angers me. But look, 56 touches, 7 times possession won, 6 duels won. Man United in the first half won 28% of their ground duels. I was fuming, dominated in midfield, and part of that was because of Joelinton. 5 clearances, 4 tackles, 3 interceptions, 3 fouls, 2 chances created. You get the gist. He was incredible today. And, you know, I think I want to talk about Lewis Hall and Livramento just because young fullbacks, how fantastic they were. But Joelinton was monstrous. You know, every time he just bullied us. We got bullied by Joelinton. He kept the ball well. He distributed the ball so well. You know, he was just controlling the game in midfield. And, you know, Newcastle looked brilliant. Willock is back, and I think he's going to help, especially with Tonali gone. You know, Lewis Hall was superb, and you can see his potential. And what a goal, fair play to him. What an assist from Livramento as well. You know, Longstaff, brilliant again. I thought he was going to get his annual goal against United when he almost scored a screamer. You know, the Longstaffs love a goal against United, Matty or Sean. And of course, Miguel Almiron looked decent as well. We go out in that first half, and Newcastle battered us. You know, B team. You know, didn't even rock up with their strongest team. Came to Old Trafford, which is meant to be this fortress, and absolutely battered us. And I have to say, as a United fan, I'm embarrassed, but you have to get to Newcastle. Controlled the game. It's between them and probably Liverpool for the league now. And, you know, they've got such a fantastic, exciting squad of hard-working players. And unfortunately, I can't say the same about my club.